Welcome, everyone. This month is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. This is a very important topic that we should all be aware of and help each other to learn more so that we can prevent and cope with any existing conditions that happens. We have with us a fantastic visitor, guest scientist, Dr. Navid Madani. Dr. Navid Madani is a senior scientist at the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute with a faculty appointment at the Harvard Medical School. Welcome, Dr. Navid.
Thank you, Dr. Rana. It's a pleasure to be here, and thank you. This is an important subject to be talking about, especially on this month that, attention, more than usual attention is on cancer and breast cancer in particular.
Yes, absolutely. And one thing that we would like to discuss in this short time together is what are some of the differences and similarities you have seen in the way breast cancer is discussed and viewed in the US and in the MENA region?
Yes, I think in U.S., because of the advocacy that has been happening for the past over 40 years with initiation of Susan G. Komen Breast Cancer Foundation, and a lot of women being very active, especially celebrities. For example, some of the movie stars, Angelina Jolie, have been talking about breast cancer. So I think we really have a I don't want to say we have a handle on it, but I think preventive work has been really happening so that women are in tune about it. Women can, mammographies every year after the age of 40, all these advertisement that's going on. Breast cancer is really in the minds and hearts of people. Now, looking at other countries globally, especially our region of birth, the Middle East and North Africa, I think we have to do much more. Breast cancer in many countries in the Middle East and North African region, and those are the places that I'm familiar with. It's really a little over 50% of diagnosis happens after a stage 3 or 4 in breast cancer. And with breast cancer, it's a cancer that's really treatable if we pay attention to it early and if it's diagnosed early. So this is something that we really, as women and as health professionals and scientists, we have to have in mind to be able to advocate about it. Educate people, especially our young people, so the stigma around breast cancer would be decreased, and move forward in advancing the knowledge about breast cancer.
Thank you for sharing that. So from your experience, how can international medical and scientific exchanges benefit breast cancer research and care?
Yeah. So international. So one of the things we talk about at the SHE Center, Science, Health, Education Center at Dana-Farber Cancer Institute and Harvard Medical School, is a knowledge and exchange program that we can bring our young people here to get, especially young oncologists here, to get educated on how treatment and care happens in the United States, and then transfer that knowledge exchange and knowledge transfer programs in their, home country. That's one way. The other way is to be able to, and we are initiating these workshops to be able to educate the lay public, not just our oncologists and scientists in their home country, to be able to educate the lay public, to be able to decrease the stigma, to talk about science of breast cancer. It's nobody's fault when they get cancer of any kind. So how can we decrease that stigma that's associated with cancer in general, especially breast cancer? Now, breast cancer and a lot of reproductive cancers for women. In general, women take on a lot of responsibilities. We have responsibilities, outside of the house, and we have a lot of responsibilities inside of the house, nurturing and raising children, taking care of our family, sometimes taking care of our extended family, and then we become a back burner, not the front burners. So it is easy to forget about our own health. And those are some of the workshops that, the She Center is trying to do to really advocate for our being in tune with our bodies, women as a whole, especially young women. We are trying to focus on young women so that they can train their loved ones, their aunts and their mothers and grandmothers and everything. One, two, they can raise young men and young women who also take care of their bodies and are in tune with their bodies.
I couldn't agree more. And I think one great thing that the She Center and everyone should be aware of, especially oncologists, is the cultural differences and the nuances to help people understand the science, understand the medicine, understand prevention, and how to approach them from a cultural, religious perspective so that people accept and move forward and know that this is grounded in practice, in faith-based practices to take care of your body. If you can prevent something, you prevent it, and so on. So from your experience meeting scientists and clinicians in Jordan, UAE, Morocco, how has that informed or changed the way you go about your research in the US?
Oh, wonderful question, Dr. Rana. I mean, excuse me, I talk to my students about this too, because we have to come through the cultural differences to be able to put together workshops when we are talking about, for example, breast cancer. For me personally, I was born and raised in the Middle East. It was very difficult for me to talk about reproductive care, to talk about being in tune with my body, and that kind of went out the window when I became a mother, because it wasn't just me I had to advocate for. It was my children too, and also my mentees. So that went out. But all the workshops that we put together with understanding of the culture. And even when, in the West, we talk about Middle East and North Africa, it's all bunched into one umbrella, which you and I know that's completely different. Going from Iran to Jordan to Oman to UAE and Morocco, we have different cultural thinking and cultural perspective. So it's not like one glove fits all. We really custom make our workshops, and even within the scientific research that we do, we think about how to approach the advocacy, how to approach talking to different individuals from different faith and different culture, and that has been really nice for my students in the United States, because the knowledge they had about the region is very different than what they see when they're in the field.
That's why it's very important to have scientists engage with local people when they want to spread that international knowledge. And it's a call for diaspora scientists to reach out back to their home countries, wherever they are, to share their knowledge and their experience with others. And also, because this month is about raising awareness, this is a shout out to all women to do their mammograms, to do their annual or regular checkups, and for family members to support them and encourage them to go and do them, because we want them to stay with us, especially for something that is preventable, that is treatable, as you mentioned. And maybe if you feel comfortable to share your story.
Yes,
to inspire others.
Absolutely. First of all, I want to piggyback on what you said. Shout out to women this month. It is a month dedicated to breast cancer. It is important. Go get checked out. Go have self-exam, and take a family friend. I mean, a family member with you. Take your grandmother. Take your mother. Make him be at ease. If you're a younger person and you are more knowledgeable about this and you're more in tune with your body, then help the older generation come to terms with it. So my story is that I went for a mammogram, my yearly mammogram. My left shoulder was hurting, so I tilted toward my right shoulder. I asked the technician, is this okay? And she said, yeah, don't worry about it. We can still see everything. So I tilted toward my right. And because of that, they found a tumor in my abdomen. And it was ovarian cancer. So mammography was fine, breast tissues were fine, I was cleared. And speaking of that, I have to do my mammography this year. So I have to, I have to check that off. But yes, everything was fine with my, with my mammography. But because I tilted toward my right, they found a grapefruit size tumor in underneath my right lung, pushing through my right lung, and making my right lung about 1/3 smaller. So the only so biopsies and everything showed that the tumor cells were of ovarian origin. So it was ovarian cancer, and they removed the tumor, and I've gone through many chemotherapy as well as 5 surgeries in the past 3.5 years. So looking back, the only symptom that I had, I used to be a runner, and I knew I was a very slow runner, but I knew exactly how long my running time was. And I'd noticed that my running time had increased by about 3 to 5 minutes because I had to stop and take a breather because my lung capacity was lower. That was it. That was the only symptom. And I talk about this with a lot of people so that they know that if anything is off, think about it, especially with ovarian cancer, because it is a silent killer. There is no really big symptoms until it's late. Like if the mammography hadn't caught it, by maybe 6 months, I would have said, oh, I can walk, or I can breathe and everything. The tumor had gotten bigger. So those are things that I really want to advocate with women in general.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that personal story, which is an inspiration for us all to go do our regular checkups, involve our family members, don't shy away from taking therapy when it's needed, participating in clinical trials to advance science for future generations. And hopefully people will be better as a result of this. Thank you very much, Dr. Navid Madani, for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Dr. Rana. It's a pleasure.